Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Your life will not rise higher than your standards. And if you're tired of being average, the solution isn't to talk bigger. It's to act different. See, average isn't a condition, it's a set of quiet decisions made every single day. It's the man who says, I want more, but keeps behaving like he's fine with less. It's the person who has big goals taped to their mirror but no discipline in their morning. It's the worker who shows up late but dreams of owning the building. And I'm not saying this to criticize. I'm saying it because I've lived it. There was a time when I had ambition, but no plan, desire, but no rhythm. I wanted to be somebody, but I kept behaving like everybody. I wanted to rise, but I stayed casual. And that was the problem. You can't live like the crowd and expect to escape the crowd. You have to draw a line. You have to say, I'm done performing at a level that insults my potential. You have to stop waiting for inspiration and start behaving like a man who's ready to build something better. You don't need another book. You don't need more time. What you need is a moment when you finally say, that's enough. I'm done being casual with my life. And here's what I know. Most people are not average because they're incapable. They're average because they're comfortable. And comfort kills urgency. It dulls ambition. It whispers, tomorrow is fine, when deep down you know tomorrow is already late. So here's the question I would ask you if we sat face to face. Are you really tired of being average? Or have you just gotten good at complaining about it? Because there's a difference between being frustrated and being finished with it. The first vents, the second acts. And if you're truly finished, if you're truly tired of being average, then you don't fix that with feelings. You fix that with behavior. You wake up earlier. You say no to things that waste your time. You start tracking what matters. You hold your word, even when it's inconvenient. You start acting like a man who's building something, not just dreaming about it. Because here's what I believe. A man is not defined by what he wants. She's defined by what he's willing to discipline. And discipline begins the moment you say, this version of me is no longer acceptable. From that point forward, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you do. So if you've been stuck, if you've been drifting, if you've been quietly haunted by the gap between your potential and your daily habits, this is the moment to decide. Not to change everything, just to change your posture toward your life. Start showing up like you're tired of being average. Start speaking like it. Start moving like it. Start structuring your day like it. Average doesn't announce itself. It sneaks in. It whispers, you deserve rest before you've earned it. It says, you're doing fine when you haven't even started. It convinces you that soft living is self-care when it's really just slow erosion. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from doing too little that matters. Let's fix that. Let's rebuild the man you were meant to be know someday, but today. And we start with the truth. The truth about who you were before you started tolerating softness. Let's go back and remember who you really are. Because that man, he's still in there. We just have to stop burying him in convenience. Let's move forward. Let's name the identity you lost and start taking it back. There was a version of you that used to be bold. Maybe he wasn't perfect, but he had fire. He had belief. He walked around with a picture in his mind of who he could become. I know, because I had that man inside me once too. And let me tell you, he didn't care what was trending. He wasn't trying to blend in. He had a hunger to rise, to be different, to stand for something, to build something. He looked in the mirror and saw more than routine. He saw a calling. But what happens over time is subtle. The world whispers, take it easy. Friends say, you're doing enough. And before long, the edge dulls. You stop swinging hard. You stop stretching. You begin trading growth for comfort, purpose for approval, clarity for convenience. You don't notice it at first. You still talk like you're driven, but your habits start to drift. Your mornings get soft. Your standards slide just a little. Then one day you wake up and it hits you. You've built a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. You go to work. You pay the bills. You check the boxes. But the man you were meant to be, the man who had ambition in his eyes and fire in his chest, he's missing, buried, silenced, forgotten. You see, most men don't fail from lack of vision. They fail from lack of follow-through, from tolerating average, one decision at a time. And let me tell you what average loves. It loves safety. It loves hiding behind busy. It loves being surrounded by other people who also stop trying. That's what creates a culture of quiet disappointment. Everybody nods, but nobody builds. Everybody posts motivation, but nobody lives it. They've all buried the man they once believed they could become. But here's what I believe. He's not gone. He's still inside you. He's just been waiting for you to stop making peace with average, to stop numbing the ache, to stop negotiating with your potential. That ache you feel, that discontent, that's not weakness. That's memory. It's the memory of who you're supposed to be. So, let me ask you something. When did you start shrinking? When did you start dialing it down? When did you decide it was safer to aim low than to risk failing forward? Because somewhere along the way, you traded momentum for maintenance. You stopped building and started surviving. And I'll tell you the most dangerous part, it starts to feel normal. That's what kills men faster than failure. Comfort with mediocrity. You get so used to it, you forget what power feels like. You forget what real commitment feels like. You start wearing a version of yourself that doesn't fit, but you keep it on because everyone else is doing the same. You don't need a new dream. You need to remember who you were before you gave up your edge. And we reclaim that identity through one thing, discipline. Not intensity, not hype consistency. We stop tolerating the habits that keep us average. We stop being soft where it counts most. We stop talking about potential and start proving it with our decisions. That's what we do next. We name the exact patterns that made you drift. The behaviors that seem small but are costing you the life you want. And when we name them, we strip them of their power. Then we replace them with something better. Let's go there now. Let's expose the small habits that make average feel permanent so we can break them and rebuild you from the inside out. You don't wake up one day and decide to live an average life. It happens slowly, quietly, by habit. You trade a few high standards for convenience. You let one little discipline slip, then another. And before you know it, you're not leading your life anymore, you're managing it. You're reacting instead of designing. You're coasting, not building. And it's not because you lack potential, it's because you've let drift take the wheel. Let's name the habits that cause it. Because once you can see them, you can stop being fooled by them. First, the snooze button. I've said it for years. Discipline starts with the first decision of the day. And what's that first decision? Whether or not to get up when you said you would. If you snooze, you're telling your mind, my comfort matters more than my character. It's not just about 5 more minutes. It's about breaking your word to yourself before the day even starts. And that pattern, that's how self-doubt takes root. Second, soft goals. Most people don't aim high and miss. They aim low and hit. Or worse, they never aim at all. Average lives are filled with vague intentions. I should eat better. I need to get organized. I want to do more. But there's no urgency, no metrics, no deadline, no pressure. Just soft talk. And soft talk never built a strong life. If your goals don't demand your best, they're not goals. They're distractions. Third, no tracking. Let me tell you something. What gets measured gets improved. And what doesn't gets excused. The average man says, I kind of eat healthy. He doesn't track. I sort of worked out this week. He doesn't log it. I think I'm doing okay financially. He doesn't check the numbers. That's not strength. That's fog. And fog is where mediocrity lives. The uncommon man knows his data. He tracks his food, his time, his money, his habits, because he refuses to lie to himself. Fourth, weak boundaries. The average person says yes to everything and ends up worn out, distracted, and resentful. They try to be everything to everyone. And in the process, they forget who they are. You've got to say no with clarity. No to time wasters. No to gossip. No to junk content. No to people who don't respect your standards. Because every yes to something small is a no to something great. And fifth, emotional justification. This one's sneaky. You start saying, "It's been a long week. I deserve this." Or, "I've been working hard. I can let this slide." And slowly, those emotional justifications become your philosophy. You start to treat excellence like a burden and mediocrity like self-care. That's how standards slip. That's how the strong man becomes a soft man bee, giving himself permission to lower the bar every time things get uncomfortable. I say this not to criticize, but to confront. If these habits sound familiar, good. That means you're awake. Because once you can name the drift, you can reverse it. Average is not who you are, it's just what happens when you live without clarity, without boundaries, and without structure. But now you know better. You know where the erosion begins. So the question is, will you keep tolerating it, or will you draw the line? Because I drew that line once. I had to. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. He had excuses, not results. Wishes, not habits. And that day, I made a decision that changed my life forever. Let me tell you what happened, what I did to go from talk to traction. Because if you're willing to do what I did, you won't have to wonder about your future. You'll build I-Tone Hour, one habit, one choice at a time. Let's go there now. Let me show you the story of when I finally got tired of being average and what I did about it. There was a time in my life when I had the ambition. I had the hunger, but I didn't have the results. I was listening to tapes, reading books, writing down goals, but nothing was compounding. Nothing was changing. I was frustrated, confused. I had big dreams, but small behaviors. And one morning, I looked around and realized I was living in maintenance mode, not building, just floating. And that scared me, because I knew where that road ended. It didn't end in disaster, it ended in mediocrity. And that to me was even worse. So I sat myself down. No music, no distractions, just a legal pad and a pen. I wrote at the top, what kind of man am I becoming? And for the first time, I answered honestly. I wrote things like reactive, casual, inconsistent. I wasn't proud of it, but I knew this. Clarity always comes before breakthrough. You can't fix what you're not willing to face. Then I turned the page and wrote a new title, The Man I Refused to Die Without Becoming. And I listed who that man was: disciplined, intentional, calm, sharp, respected, wise, generous, strong. And here was the realization that hit me. I wasn't going to feel my way into becoming that man. I had to act my way there. So I made a vow that day. A vow to never again start my day in drift. No more snoozing. No more checking the phone before checking my goals. No more casual mornings. I built a new rhythm. I got up early. I wrote my priorities. I moved my body. I read wisdom. I practiced silence. And the biggest change wasn't in my bank account. It wasn't in my schedule. It was in my self-respect. For the first time in a long time, I started to believe myself again. Because here's the truth. When you break your word to yourself, your self-image suffers. But when you keep it, especially when no one's watching, your confidence grows quietly, day by day. And before long, the world starts to respond differently to you. Not because you're louder, but because you're deeper. You carry weight, presence, purpose. That doesn't come from motivational posters, it comes from private discipline. And I'll never forget what one man said to me at an event years later. He came up to me and said, "Jim, you've got a piece to you. Like you're not in a hurry, but you're still winning." I smiled because I knew what he was seeing. He wasn't seeing talent. He was seeing rhythm, years of structure, years of standards, years of acting like I was done with average. And if I could go back and tell the younger me one thing, I'd say this: you don't need to fix everything. Just stop negotiating with low standards. Start with how you wake up. Start with what you tolerate. Start with what you track. That's the turning point. That's the moment the drift breaks and the direction begins. And now it's your turn. It's your turn to draw the line. Not in a dramatic way, but in a decisive way. So, let's do it. Let's build the new standard. Let's craft the new identity. Not with theory, but with action. In the next section, I'll give you the 5 disciplines that will form the spine of the uncommon man. Not flashy, not complicated, just real, daily, proven. Because if you're tired of being average, then let your behavior say so. Let's install the code. You've got to start acting like you matter, because the truth is, you do. You were made for more than the excuses you tell yourself, more than the distractions that pull you away, and more than the comfort of average. But here's the tough part. You don't become the man who matters by wishing. You become him by showing up every day and making choices that prove it. You build your character not through grand declarations, but through consistent daily discipline. I want you to ask yourself this. If I followed you around for 24 hours, would I see a man tired of being average? Would I see a man who takes responsibility for his time, his energy, and his decisions? Or would I see someone stuck in the same routine, making the same excuses, pushing the same later button? Because your identity is reflected not in your words, but in your habits. And if your habits say, I'm okay with just enough, then your future will say, you got enough. It's like sculpting. Every day you chip away at who you were, or you chip away at who you want to be. You don't get to skip the work and still keep the masterpiece. Your habits are the tools you use. Your discipline is the chisel. If you want to build greatness, you must stop being casual about your foundation. So start behaving like you matter. Begin with your mornings. Ask yourself, what would the man I admire do right now? And then do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. When you rehearse the behavior of success, your mind and body start to align. You build belief. You build momentum. You build a life that matches your vision. No more waiting for motivation. No more leaning on someday. The man who matters creates motivation by his actions, not the other way around. He disciplines himself, so he doesn't have to rely on feelings. He keeps his word, especially to himself. And when you start doing the same, the world will start treating you differently. You'll feel it. Your posture will change. Your voice will gain weight. Your decisions will come with confidence. That's the power of identity discipline. But you don't have to guess what that discipline looks like, because now I'm going to share the 5 non-negotiables, the daily standards, that will help you stop tolerating average and start building the uncommon. These aren't fancy tricks. They're the backbone of men who decide to live at a higher level. They're yours to take and practice. So let's dive in. Now it's time for your unbreakable pledge, the moment you seal your commitment to who you're becoming. You see, discipline isn't something that happens to you. It's something you give yourself. And the strongest form of self-giving comes in the form of a pledge, a promise you intend to keep no matter what. I want you to look in the mirror, imagine your reflection, and simply say these words aloud. From this day forward, I refuse to live beneath my own potential. I will rise by my standards, not by my moods. I will be the architect of my life, not its victim. Don't mumble it. Don't rush it. Let each phrase land in your mind and settle in your heart. Feel the weight of each word. Feel the blood in your veins thrum with new resolve. This is more than motivation. Motivation fades. This is a binding commitment, a shift in your personal philosophy. Because the moment you declare your standards publicly to yourself or to a trusted friend, your brain begins working to uphold the promise. You'll find your attention sharper. You'll feel an inner radar detecting excuses and distractions. You'll see the fork in the road and choose the uphill path more often than you once did. Imagine a soldier taking an oath. Once those words leave his lips, they aren't mere syllables. They're a living code. He won't break it. because he knows the cost of broken oaths. You must treat your pledge with the same solemnity. Remember, men who rise above average earn that elevation by guarding their word as fiercely as a king protects his crown. In the coming days, you'll trip up. You'll hit snooze or scroll social media or talk yourself out of the new morning routine. Expect it. But when you do, remind yourself, I made an unbreakable pledge. I choose to honor it. That simple act of recommitment resets your direction. It pulls you back, magnet-like, to your higher standard. And if you ever feel that old drift creeping back, revisit this pledge. Say it again. Let it echo through your bones. Let it ring like a clarion call. Because identity discipline isn't a one-time act. It's a lifetime habit. And this pledge is the spark that keeps that flame burning bright. Now that you've drawn the line and made your pledge, it's time to cast your gaze forward to the horizon of possibilities. We'll next imagine your life 5 years from now. The man you'd be if you never wavered, if you honored your pledge every single morning. That vision will be your beacon as you navigate the days ahead. Transition. With your identity pledge sealed, let's look 5 years down the road and ignite that future in your imagination. Because vision without action is only a daydream, but vision with discipline becomes your destiny. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from today standing tall, refined by every morning choice you now make. Feel the weight of success in your shoulders. Picture the way your peers look to you for guidance. The respect you carry, not because of wealth alone, but because of the person you've become. Disciplined, intentional, and unwavering in your standards. See the details. Notice what you're wearing: clean lines, purposeful colors, a posture that radiates self-respect. Hear the tone of your voice: steady, calm, confident. Observe how you start your day, not groggy or distracted, but alert and on mission. Feel the clarity you carry into every meeting, every conversation, every decision. Taste the satisfaction of waking each morning knowing you're moving closer to your greatest ambitions. This vision isn't some distant fairy tale. It's a real reflection of the man you will become if you commit to the disciplines we've outlined. It's a future biography written not by fate, but by the daily chapters you're about to add each morning, each decision, each refusal to settle for convenience over excellence. Now I challenge you to hold this vision as sacred. Write down 3 vivid details about that future. Perhaps the title on your desk, the look in your lover's eyes, or the feeling in your bones when you achieve a long-held goal. Put these details in your journal. Read them every night before bed and every morning upon waking, fueling your commitment with the gravity of your own dream. Because without a vivid destination, we'll settle for the nearest exit back into drift, back into ease. But with a clear picture of who we must be, we have a beacon to guide us through every foggy morning, every sleepy temptation, every nagging excuse. We have a lighthouse reaching back through time, urging us to stay the course. So let that vision now pull on you with all its power. Let it electrify your alarm clock, magnetize your coffee cup, and illuminate your first steps out of bed. Because once you've seen the man you can become, you won't just rise, you'll ascend, and the world will notice. Transition. With your 5-year vision etched in mind, it's time for the final call to action, your identity decree that cements this path. Let's close by issuing a daily affirmation that fuses your pledge, your disciplines, and your vision into one unwavering statement of purpose. Now it's time for your daily identity decree, a powerful statement you will speak each morning to fuse your pledge, your disciplines, and your vision into one unbreakable commitment. I want you to stand tall, look yourself in the eye, and say, "Today I choose the man I'm becoming. I rise with purpose. I embrace discipline over comfort. I honor my word and uphold my standards. I build momentum toward my 5-year vision, and I refuse to settle for anything less. I am not average. I am the architect of my destiny." Feel each phrase resonate in your chest like the tolling of a bell, summoning every fiber of your spirit to attention. This is not mere lip service. This is the spoken bond between you and your highest self. When you declare it, you activate the laws of identity and association. You become the person you proclaim, and you attract the behaviors, the habits, and the opportunities that match that identity. Every morning before you brush your teeth or check your phone, deliver this decree. Make it your ritual. Just as a sculptor returns daily to his masterpiece, so must you return to this proclamation. When the winds of doubt blow, let this decree stand firm as your anchor. When the fog of fatigue descends, let these words be your beacon. When temptation whispers, let this decree speak louder. When the fog, because today, this moment, you stand at the threshold of transformation. You have seen what needs to change, made your pledge, painted your vision, and now you claim your identity with clear, decisive language. There's nothing mystical here, only a simple act of self-governance that will reshape your mind, your habits, and in turn, your life. So rise early. Speak your identity decree. Live in alignment with your vision. And watch as the man you once were, even the man you feared, becoming softens into the man you chose to be.